My lungs burned and my legs shook, but I kept running through the red fog, because stopping meant I would never see another sunrise. That is where this story really starts, but let me take you back to the beginning, so you understand how a person everyone called weak ended up being the only one who walked away. My name is Daniel Foss, and I was the smallest recruit in my class at the Coalition Defense Academy. Every other cadet in my squad came from a species built for war. Grath had thick gray skin that could take a hit without flinching. Velith had 4 arms and could lift twice her body weight without breathing hard. Kor, our squad leader, stood over 8 feet tall and moved like a shadow despite his size. Then there was me, an average human, average height, average strength, with nothing special about my body at all. On my first day, during the physical trials, I finished last in every category. Kor looked at my scores and laughed in front of the whole squad. "They sent us a human," he said. "The weakest species in the coalition. This one will not last a month." I did not argue. I just kept training, kept showing up, kept trying again even when my arms shook and my legs gave out. The other recruits noticed, but not in a good way. They started calling me the weak one behind my back, and sometimes to my face. I heard it so many times that it stopped hurting. Instead, it became something else. It became fuel. I was not the strongest. I was not the fastest. But I noticed things other people missed. I asked questions when everyone else stayed quiet. I found small ways to solve big problems, using tools and terrain instead of muscle. None of that mattered much in training, where strength and speed were everything. It only mattered once we were sent somewhere real. 6 months into training, our squad was assigned a routine mission. We were sent to a small, quiet planet called Varanth, a world with no known dangers, used mostly for basic survival training. Command called it low risk. They said any squad could handle it in their sleep. That is exactly why nobody worried, and why nobody prepared the way they should have. The night before we left, Kor pulled the whole squad together for a final briefing. He looked at me last, and his eyes held that same tired dismissal I had grown used to. "Try to keep up, Foss," he said. "We do not want to carry you the whole way." I said nothing. I checked my gear one more time, packed extra supplies nobody else bothered to bring, and studied the maps of Varanth long after the others had gone to sleep. Something about the mission notes felt wrong to me. There were gaps in the survey data, areas marked unknown that nobody had explained. When I brought it up the next morning, Velith rolled her eyes. "You worry too much," she said. "It is a training planet. Nothing lives there that can hurt a Korath, let alone the rest of us." We landed on Varanth just after dawn. The sky was a pale orange, and the air felt thick and still, almost too quiet. Our shuttle set down in a wide clearing surrounded by tall black trees that swayed even though there was no wind. Kor gave the order to move out, and we began our trek toward the ridgeline, where we were supposed to set up a temporary camp and gather samples. For the first few hours, everything felt normal. Grath joked about the terrain being too easy. Velith scanned the ground for minerals. Kor walked ahead, confident and unbothered, the way he always was. I stayed near the back, watching the tree line, feeling a small itch of worry I could not explain. Then the ground began to shake. It was not an earthquake. It was something moving beneath the surface, something large, and it was moving toward us. Kor raised a hand for silence, and for the first time since I had known him, I saw something close to concern on his face. The trees around us started to fall, not from wind, but from something pushing through the soil at their roots. Grath shouted for us to move, and we ran toward higher ground as the earth cracked open behind us. A massive creature broke the surface, pale and segmented, taller than our shuttle, with limbs that dug into the ground like anchors. It let out a sound that shook the air itself. We had no idea creatures like this existed on Varanth. The old survey data had missed it completely, buried deep beneath layers of rock, waking only when it sensed movement above. Kor ordered us to scatter and find defensible positions, the standard protocol for facing something we did not understand. Grath moved fast toward a rocky outcrop, using his strength to climb where the rest of us could not. Velith tried to outrun the creature across open ground, trusting her speed. I ran toward the tree line instead, choosing a path that curved and twisted rather than a straight line, because I remembered something from training that nobody else seemed to think about in that moment. Raw speed does not matter if the ground itself is unstable. The creature followed Velith first. She was fast, faster than anything I could ever be, but the ground beneath her cracked with every step she took, and the vibrations only drew the creature closer. I watched from a distance as she changed direction sharply, trying to lose it in the open field, but the field offered nowhere to hide. I could not outfight it and I could not outrun it, so I did the only thing that made sense to me. I moved carefully instead of quickly, staying near the trees where the roots broke up the vibrations in the soil, making it harder for the creature to track exact movement. It was slower, but it was smarter, and in that moment, smart mattered more than fast. Kor's voice came through our comms, sharp and controlled despite everything happening around us. He ordered a full retreat to the shuttle, but the shuttle was on the other side of the creature, past the clearing where it had first appeared. Grath tried to draw its attention using a flare from his pack, hoping to give the rest of us time to circle back. It worked, for a moment. The creature turned toward the light, and Grath began moving along the rocks, using his strength to leap between ledges most creatures our size could never reach. I do not know exactly what happened next, because I was too far away to see clearly, but the ground beneath Grath gave way, and by the time Velith and I reached that section of the ridge, he was gone. There was no time to process it. There was only the sound of the creature turning again, searching for the next source of movement. Kor called for us to keep moving, his voice tighter now, the confidence I had heard back at the academy replaced with something rawer, something closer to fear. We pushed forward together, but the terrain kept working against the ones who relied on strength and speed alone. Velith's extra arms, so useful in every training exercise, became a burden on the narrow, uneven paths where balance mattered more than power. I stayed low, moved slow and steady, and used the trees as cover the way I had planned from the very start. When the creature came close, I did not try to outmatch it. I used a smoke charge from my pack, one of the extra supplies nobody else had thought to bring, and threw it toward an open section of ground away from us. The creature reacted to the sudden burst of movement and heat, giving us the few seconds we needed to keep moving toward the shuttle. Kor and Velith reached the last stretch of open ground before the clearing, and for a moment, it looked like we might all make it. Then the creature emerged again, faster than any of us expected, cutting off the direct path to the shuttle. Kor turned back to face it, telling Velith and me to keep running, insisting that his size and strength gave him the best chance of holding it off. I wanted to argue, but there was no time, and some choices are made in seconds, not minutes. Velith hesitated, torn between loyalty and survival, until Kor shouted at her to move. We ran, and behind us, the ground shook one final time. I do not remember every detail of what happened next. I remember reaching the shuttle with Velith beside me, her strength finally giving out from exhaustion rather than injury. I remember the silence afterward, heavier than any sound the creature had made. I remember helping her into the shuttle, sealing the door, and initiating emergency liftoff with hands that would not stop shaking. We made it back to the outer station, but Velith's injuries from the fall earlier in the chase proved too severe. She did not survive the trip. When the shuttle doors opened at the station, I was the only one who walked out. The officers who met me did not know what to say. They had expected a full squad, led by one of the strongest recruits the academy had ever trained. Instead, they found one human, the one everyone had called weak, standing alone in the landing bay, covered in dust from a planet that was supposed to be safe. During the debrief, I told them everything, exactly as it happened. I did not exaggerate my part, and I did not hide my fear. I explained how the survey data had missed the creature entirely, how speed and strength had worked against my squad mates on unstable ground, and how staying calm and adapting to the terrain had made the difference for me. Word spread quickly through the academy. The recruits who once mocked me stopped laughing. Some avoided me entirely, unsure how to look at the person who had returned when stronger, faster cadets had not. Others started asking real questions, wanting to understand how someone with no special strength or speed had managed to survive when the odds said otherwise. I did not have some secret power hidden inside me. I simply refused to stop thinking, even when everything around me said I should be running as fast and as hard as I could. I chose patience over panic, and it saved my life when raw strength and speed could not save the others. They still call humans the weakest species in the coalition, and in many ways that is true. We do not have thick skin or extra limbs or the raw power some species are born with. But somewhere on that quiet, deadly planet, I learned that survival is not always about being the strongest one in the room. Sometimes it is about being the one who keeps adapting when everyone else has run out of options. I was the weakest recruit in my class. I was also the only one who came home. And after that day, no one at the academy ever laughed at that title again.